talking about the first chapter in my book, Yoga and Vedic Astrology. It's called Welcome to the Universe. I'm going to talk about Maya and the main illusions, sacred number 108, evolutionary principles in astrology, and several other things. Hey, it's Sam. I'm recording this video in coordination with the Art of Living in Bangalore, India. This is the organization set up by Sri Ravi Shankar, Gurudev. His Holiness chose to publish my book last year on yoga and Vedic astrology. After visiting with them and talking with their astrologers and whatnot, we decided to publish the book. In the book, I talk about the connections of Vedic astrology to yoga, Indian philosophy, Sankhya philosophy, and talk about texts such as the Bhagavad Gita and the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and connect all of that up with Vedic astrology. So this book fits in very well with their teachings, so they published it, and I'm making some videos here in coordination with the Art of Living, which I'm very happy to do. And this first video, I'm talking about the first chapter called Welcome to the Universe. I'm going to be talking about a lot of the main illusions that we have in life as we incarnate on this planet. They relate to our life as a limited being in cosmic time. I'm going to talk about the sacred number 108 and how they connect the orbits of the Sun, Moon, and Earth, and in general the evolutionary principles in Vedic astrology. So you have to realize you have incarnated through body, mind, and spirit on this earth. You have karma that has compelled you to incarnate here in this realm, in space and time, with a physical body and a mind and a nervous system and an emotional structure, so that you can evolve in this realm of existence to know your true nature as spirit. Now, your soul exists in many realms, many dimensions, but when you incarnate on Earth and you're placed on the wheel of time here, it's through the agency of the principles in Vedic astrology that your karma unfolds. And what we do in Vedic astrology is examine those principles and the evolutionary process involved. But of course, these are very deep subjects. Karma, dharma, the truth of the universe, the earth that we're standing on, the illusions that govern this whole existence. For example, right now, the earth that you're standing on is spinning about 1,000 miles an hour on its axis at the equator, and it's going around the sun at about 70,000 miles per hour. Right now, that's how fast the earth is moving through space. Certainly doesn't feel like it. It feels pretty stable, pretty solid, doesn't it? Even the earth itself, it appears to be flat, it appears to be still. It seems like everything is moving from where we're standing. Everything seems to be moving around us. The sun seems to rise and set and move through the sky, but in fact the sun isn't moving at all. It's at the center, and we're moving around the sun. Other planets are moving around us. So there are many layers of Maya, or illusion, that we encounter once we start to get into things like astrology and astronomy and cosmology. I talk about these things quite a bit at the beginning of the book. Here's something that's very interesting. Do you realize that the Earth is 4.5 billion years old, the solar system, and the planets and the Sun, Moon, Earth, 4.5 billion years old, and human beings have only been here about 100 to 200,000 years. Now, both of those sound like very big numbers, so how do we put that into perspective? Here's how you can do it. If you were to take 100 450-page books and stack them one on top of the next, it would be about 8 to 10 feet of books. They would total 45,000 pages of books. That stack of books would represent how long our solar system has been here. 100,000 years, which is about as long as human beings have been here, would be the last page in that stack of books. That's pretty incredible. 8 to 10 feet of books would represent the entire timeline of the Sun, Moon, and Earth, and the last page would be how long human beings have been here, the last 100,000 years or so. Now that seems very hard to grasp, and how can we make sense of that? Why is that important? Well, because we have the entire genius of the universe and of God and of consciousness folded into our physical body, and that cellular recognition where the physical body itself knows what every other cell is doing, that entire sort of cosmic genius that took 4.5 billion years to sort of work through, is built into every cell in your body. This is why you're able to, for example, just eat food and enjoy it, and your body knows exactly what to do with it. Your body right now is keeping your heart beating. Do you know how to make your heart beat? No. Your body is making you breathe. Your body is breathing you. God is breathing your body. This invisible force, this invisible power of life, of creativity itself, is at the heart of all Indian teachings. Vedic astrology shows how it works, specifically what these specific energies are. But we shouldn't take for granted this miraculous life that we're inhabiting and all of the illusions of time and space and karma that we are just sort of taking for granted and walking around in. People often ask me, how does astrology work? Is it gravity? Is it light rays being emitted? How does it work? Well, the answer is, I don't know how it works. But you have to understand something. No one knows how anything works. That might surprise you. Of course we know how things work. A doctor knows how the body works, right? Well, maybe not. So let's say that you go to the doctor and he's taking your pulse. And you ask the doctor how he's taking the pulse and what's going on. He'll give you an answer, and you might think to yourself that he understands how the body makes the pulse active. Does he really? Does the doctor actually know more than the astrologer? Most people think he does, but he actually doesn't. The doctor and the astrologer are doing the same thing. Even a 5-year-old can bring the science of medicine down to its knees. Here's what I mean. A 5-year-old might say, how does the pulse generate in your wrist? What's happening? And the doctor will say, well, it's because the heart is beating in the chest and it's pumping blood through the wrist. Okay, well, how does the heart know to keep beating? Well, because there's an autonomic signal sent from the R complex deep in the brain. Okay, where does that signal come from? I don't know. So you see, doctors don't know any better than astrologers do, but people ask astrologers, well, how does it work? How does the universe work? We never ask a doctor, how does the body work? Mainly because we think the doctor already knows because of our bias. But if you ask the doctor the same question, he doesn't know how the body works, how that pulse of life goes into life, or where it comes from, any more than the astrologer knows how planets transmit their energy to us. In fact, the astrologer and the doctor both do the same thing. We look at a certain kind of lab work, or we do a certain kind of diagnosis, and from that we can get a clue or signals about what's making it happen. A doctor on a more physical level and an astrologer on a metaphysical level. And you should understand that astrology is just as uniform as medicine. For example, anyone who is trained in any kind of astrological practice, whether it's Western or Vedic, will be able to say very specific and accurate things about birth charts just based on looking at it on a very cursory level. Anyone who sees the sun in the first house of an astrology chart will know that the person has a lot of enthusiasm and individuality. If it's the moon in the first house, they will be able to see that it's a very nurturing quality. If that moon goes into the 10th house, then it's a nurturing quality in their work. And this will be correct and uniform regardless of the system even. So astrology is a remarkably uniform practice that's been around forever, and it's just as scientific as any other science that you may already believe in. So how exactly did spirit take form on this earth? Well, we don't know exactly, but here's something that's very interesting about astrology and the sacred number 108. You know, I talked before about the 4.5 billion years that the earth has been here, that the solar system has been here. Why did it take so long for life to finally explode? Well, here's one of the things that we do know, and it's related to the sacred number 108. Have you ever noticed on a solar eclipse that the disk of the moon fits perfectly in the disk of the sun? Perfectly. From where we're standing, this little rock, which is the moon, and this big ball of fire appear to be exactly the same size to us. Have you ever thought how weird that is? Well, I'll tell you, it's quite an architectural miracle, and it happens to coincide with why there's life on Earth right now. The reason this happens is a ratio of scale and distance. It means that the length between the Earth and the moon is equal to the diameter of the moon times 108, and the distance between the sun and the Earth is equal to the diameter of the sun times 108. So what that means in more layman's terms is that you could fit approximately 108 moons between us and the moon, and 108 suns between us and the sun. It's actually closer to about 109, but 108 breaks out more evenly. And this evenness makes for the sacred architecture of the skies. We also have 12 zodiac signs times 9 planets, which equal 108. And there's also 27 nakshatras times 4 directions, which also equals 108. But the fundamental pulse of 108 is this ratio between scale and distance and the time that it took for the sun, moon, and earth in their orbits to work into this sacred vibrational pattern. It took 4.5 billion years for the sun, moon, and earth to work into this vibrational pattern because the moon is actually slipping a little further away from earth, about 1.5 inches every year. After 4.5 billion years or so, it worked into this exact perfect harmonic vibration where we can see it's so exact and precise that the disk of the moon fits perfectly in the disk of the sun from where we're standing. So once spirit had descended and taken form here, we are then governed by all of these laws of karma and evolution and all of that sacred dynamic spiritual architecture governs our life here on earth. So I hope you enjoyed this quick overview of the first chapter in Yoga and Vedic Astrology. Go ahead and pick up the book at the bookstore if you're in India, at The Art of Living, or online. And look for more videos on this Yoga and Vedic Astrology text. I'm very happy to be working with The Art of Living to be producing these videos. Go ahead and share them with people and spread the word that Yoga and Vedic Astrology are the sister sciences that help us evolve consciousness and understand our karma in greater detail. Namaste.